All right, good morning. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Monroe County Board of Commissioners. It is February 3rd, and we'll begin with our public statement read by Commissioner Jones.
I'm sorry, I didn't pay enough attention to the agenda, and I am not ready for this. If you want to hold on just a minute, I can pull it up.
Or I can do it if you'd like.
If you want, go ahead. I'll do it next week. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We, the Monroe County Board of Commissioners, renew our commitment to welcome and protect the rights of all people, regardless of age, race, color, creed, disability, sexual orientation, gender identity, marital status, economic status, and national origin. And we affirm the right of every person to live peacefully and without fear, and we will fight and resist at every step discrimination and harmful policies, whatever their source. We also stand in support of our county public school systems, both RBB and MCCSC. And with that, we will turn to our department updates, and we'll begin with Ms. Cottle. Good morning.
Good morning. Just want to start this morning with some vaccine updates. Indiana has received over 900,000 doses of vaccine for COVID-19. We have over 250 vaccination sites in the state, and more than 500,000 first doses have already been administered. More than 143,000 people are fully vaccinated in Indiana, and more than 1 million people have scheduled appointments so far. So just share that to illustrate that Indiana is doing a good job of distributing the vaccine as it comes in and getting it out to individuals as quickly as possible. Current eligibility for vaccine is individuals 65 and over. And again, the state is using an age-based approach to reduce hospitalizations and deaths. And age has been the primary factor in those hospitalizations and deaths. Does not mean that people outside of 70 or 80 or 65 have not passed. It does not mean that they have not been hospitalized, but that is the vast majority of hospitalizations and deaths have been in our residents really who are 70 and over. So that's the age-based approach. We expect 60 and over will come on board in the near future, and then we'll start seeing how those next groups will look. Others who are eligible continue to be healthcare workers, those frontline patient-facing healthcare workers, long-term care workers and residents, first responders who are called to provide medical care at an emergency, so not office staff. And so I just want to be clear. I know that at times there's been confusion on who's eligible and who is not. So we do continue to give vaccine in Monroe County. We are expecting allocations throughout the state to increase slightly over the coming weeks, and we will add those appointments to be able to dispense that vaccine as soon as we can. Again, the state secured a system for scheduling those appointments, and we collaborate with them on what we want, what we feel we need, but we do not control those appointments. Next week, we start our first round of second dose appointments. So we're excited that next week we will start vaccinating people and they'll be fully vaccinated and seeing those individuals come through again. We're excited about that, but we know that that will also add another layer of complexity to our schedule. So stay tuned. We definitely are doing our very best to get the vaccine out as quickly as we can and efficiently. And I think our clinic is running very efficiently. We've gotten lots of good feedback about that. Currently, there are I'm going to say 3 sites. There's really 6. The Med Arts building through IU Health, and that's the vaccination site that came on board first with Pfizer. Then the health department site at the convention center. We are open on Monday, Wednesday, and Saturdays at this time. And then more recently, the Kroger stores, as pharmacies are being added. We have, I believe, 4 Kroger pharmacies that are now receiving some vaccine and doing vaccinations as well. So when you go on that map on the state for vaccinations, it will tell you what the sites are. You can click on that and schedule your appointment. The Kroger stores are not using the same scheduling system as we are, as the hospitals are. So just something to keep in mind with that. But we're excited to continue to add vaccination locations. And we are ready when we can get lots of vaccine in this community. We know that IU is willing to do a large scale vaccination site for the community. We have businesses that are on deck just waiting for vaccine so that they can vaccinate their employees, again, using eligibility guidelines. But whether it's Monroe County government, whether it's another facility that has an employee health clinic that they may be able to vaccinate their employees. So the more options people have to get vaccinated easily without having to take off work, that's our goal. I do want to continue to thank our staff and our many, many volunteers that are working the clinics. We could not do this without them, and very thankful for them. As vaccine is rolling out, I do worry a little bit that people will become less cautious, and we want to remind people that vaccine is certainly needed. We need 2 doses, right, with the vaccines that we currently have available, but we also need to continue to wear our masks, to maintain our distance, to take all the precautions that we've been taking in order to get through this. So until we have a large percentage of people who are vaccinated and we have low community spread, we're going to need all of the tools in our toolbox to continue and to really smash this infection. We are expected to go to yellow on the advisory today. I expect us to go to 1.1. With that, the Board of Health did meet last night. They did review current regulations. Our communal regulations are staying as they are. There are no changes to those at this time. The only changes to our current health order, and that's just again been revised, is that at this time we will move from when we go to yellow, whenever that is, whether it's later today or whether it's next week, when we go to yellow, the gathering and event size limit will go from 25 to 50. That's still less than the state. We will still continue to move slowly. There are no other changes at this time. The board will meet again in 2 weeks, and at that time, they'll look at the data and just make a decision about the 1 a.m. closing for bars, whether or not events could increase their size limit, again, those kinds of things. But keep in mind that we have new variant strains that we are seeing that are more easily transmittable. We have Super Bowl this weekend that could be an easy way for people to spread infection if they are not cautious. We have an increase in our population coming. We have lots of things going on that could change that trend that we are on. And we want to stay on a positive trend, on a good trend. So we are going to watch that very closely and continue to make changes slowly rather than make them very quickly and have to revert back to more restrictions. So we will ease into that. Stay tuned for that. The cases per day is coming down. That's good news, but I also want to take this opportunity to say, if you need to be tested, be tested. We still have 2 testing sites for the community in town. The Armory site, the Optum site, those sites are going to continue through March. But we have the community testing site as well. And we're seeing fewer people at these community sites and want to encourage you to be tested. If you are symptomatic, the community testing site on Morton does have rapid antigen testing, and you can get your results back in 30 minutes. So that is ideal if you are symptomatic. And if the test is negative, they will follow that up with a PCR test. So please get tested. Having large numbers of people test and low positivity rates, that really tells us that we are getting less community spread. So it's very helpful for that. The last thing that I want to talk about is kind of going back to eligibility, and we do have a standby wait list, but I do want to just make sure that people understand that we will be following the state's eligibility guidelines in selecting those people who may be able to come in really at a moment's notice to be vaccinated if we have an extra dose of vaccine at the end of clinic. We make every effort not to have any additional doses at the end of the day. We follow closely as we go through the day, but there are things that can happen, whether it's a last-minute cancellation or whether it's a vial that has 10 doses in it. We have 7 appointments and we have 2 left over. We rarely have much vaccine left at the end of the day, and we have had over 5,000 people on this standby wait list. So I want to put that in perspective. As we go through that list, we start with who's eligible, and those are the individuals that will be offered that opportunity. We will call you if you are eligible and we have vaccine. We will not be taking people who are just hanging around waiting to see. We will make that call. So I just want to let people, we will call. We will not text. We will not, send some random message. We will call people because we need people to come in very quickly. We want people to come safely, but this is at the end of the day, and we need to make sure that they can get there quickly. People get through the process and get their vaccine very quickly, but then they have to wait 15 to 30 minutes after that. And that means that the staff is there waiting for that as well. So we can't be calling someone and asking them to come in and it's going to be an hour before they get there. We have to make sure that somebody can be there very quickly. So just wanted, we've had a lot of questions about that. It is a weekly list. It's a weekly list because of that. People's availability may change from week to week. They may get vaccinated in the meantime. We want to keep that list as current as possible. But I also want people to understand that if you are not in the eligibility group, we're not preventing you from signing up. But please don't expect that you are going to jump to the front of that line. Oh.
There we go.
All right, I'm done. That's it.
Somebody made that decision for you. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
I just want to encourage everyone trying to make an appointment for a vaccine to be patient and keep at it. It can take a while, but don't give up.
And that's especially true when they release a new group. The demand is so high. We ended up Monday when they opened that up, there was a period of time that we had to go to paper because the system was so overloaded that we couldn't process our patients electronically. So it didn't last too long, but we did have to go to paper for a while.
Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, I continue to hear great reports on the vaccine sites, that how efficient they are, how caring people are. Kudos to everybody involved.
Yeah, and a couple of things I'm glad you noted that because there have been news reports about vaccine going out to other pharmacies and things like that. But you still have to be eligible. You
Yes.
still have to meet the eligibility no matter where you get the shot. So that's an important thing. The other thing I have is just some clarification, because it's important to think about, now we're starting getting second doses to folks, that they are not immediately immune, and 95% is not 100%, but can you talk about that, what happens after the second shot?
Certainly. So with any vaccine, it can take a couple of weeks before your full immunity that you will get, and you're right, that's not 100%. And even if 90 or 95% is expected in the trials, that doesn't mean everybody gets that level of immunity. And with all vaccines, you know, there are two parts. A vaccine doesn't necessarily mean that you will not get infected. The first and foremost, we don't want you infected, but is again to stop that severe disease. And we see that even with influenza vaccines, right? That you may still get influenza, but the chances that you will get severe disease or die from influenza is drastically reduced. And so there are two parts to a vaccine. Yes, we want to stop the spread. We don't want anyone to become infected, but it's also, again, about preventing people from getting severe disease. So again, that's why we need to continue to wear masks, to do all the prevention, because you could still become infected. And again, a lot of people are asymptomatic, but the vaccines are proving to be very good. And we want people to be vaccinated, 2 doses. With what we have now, there may be some 1-dose vaccines coming, but as you mentioned, and as I was trying to say earlier as well, until we have a large number of people fully vaccinated and we are seeing low community spread, and by low, I mean, you know, less than 10 cases per 100,000, low, right? Not 100 or not 50. But low numbers of spread, we're not really going to be looking at any great reductions in our behaviors, right? And I think going forward, our behaviors are going to change anyway. As a culture, we have not been mask wearers where other cultures have been. I think that will change. We're seeing less influenza this year. And I think much of that is due to the precautions that people are taking. So I think our culture around masks and things like that will change going forward.
That's great. Thank you so much for all that great information. We appreciate you, your staff, the board, Dr. Sharp. Everybody is doing such great work for our community, and really do the nonstop work for the community. So thank you for that. Now we will turn to Ms. Allison Moore, Emergency Management.
Good morning. I'll start with our blood drives that we announce those dates every week. We have one scheduled for the 16th and one scheduled for the 17th. I think the 16th has just 1 or 2 spots still open. So if that date works for you, you might want to get on quickly to the redcross.org website to make that appointment. And 17th is filling up as well. And we have such a need for that in our community. So those are held at the Monroe County Convention Center, and we are very fortunate that they have been able to keep those separate than the place where they're getting the vaccine, and have continued to have those drives for us. So we're grateful for that. Friday is Tornado Siren Day. As always, the first Friday of the month is Tornado Siren Day. So you should hear a 30-second tone on at noon and again at 7. And we also send an Everbridge notification out. We just test that once, and that is at the noon test. So occasionally I'll get that question, as I didn't get the 7 o'clock text, but we only test that system once. The reason why we do 2 tests is because we have 2 dispatch centers, so that allows both dispatch centers to test once in the afternoon and once in the evening. We do have bitter cold weather coming. So I encourage individuals and residents to be prepared. Make sure you have extra blankets, don't plug in a significant more amount than you normally plug in to try to keep your home extra heated, because sometimes that can cause circuit breakers to go out, and of course, power outages as well. Our office has been in contact with our energy companies such as Duke, just to prepare for those cold winters. We can keep those partnerships and those collaborations together. So we'll work with them in case we do have any kind of outages during this super cold stretch that we will be having in the upcoming weekend, latter part of the weekend, early next week. This month, we're focusing on the preparedness of earthquakes. February is Earthquake Preparedness Month, and so the Monroe County Emergency Management has tagged on. And so the first couple weeks in February, I'm going to give you a couple different things that your household can do for preparing for an earthquake. And then that third week, I'm going to give you some ideas of what to do actually during an actual event of an earthquake. And then the last week, I'll be able to provide families different things that they can do to recover from an earthquake. So the two things I'd like to mention today are two ways that you can prepare. And one way is to secure things like your hot water heaters to the walls, secure heavy pieces of furniture such as bookshelves or armoires or dressers that may be top heavy, that if an earthquake would happen, they could tackle over. And this would be furniture that would be in a walkway or where people might be. And that would, of course, prevent those items from falling on anyone in your family if an earthquake would happen. And then the second preparedness that I'd like to mention is to have a preparedness plan that has a telephone number of someone that might be outside of your state that you can hopefully get in contact with. So, because what often happens when an earthquake or a large event happens in an area, so many people are trying to get on the cell towers and use their cell phones that a lot of times they won't work. So we encourage you to try to have an outside state connector that can let other people know, if possible, where that you're safe, and hopefully you would be able to get one message out to that individual to help keep your family connected instead of trying to connect with various other people that are in that networked area. And so I encourage families to locate that individual if they have family or friends that are in another area, and then have that plan in place so that you can, other individuals know. So if my husband and I are working at two separate places, we would have an individual at another state, and they would hopefully then be able to have a better connection to get in touch with my spouse and let him know that I'm safe, and we would hopefully have a better connection to connect with someone outside of the state instead of back and forth together, taking two lines at the same time here locally. So it's a big step in preparedness to have that. We encourage that for lots of disasters, not just earthquakes, but so you'll probably hear that repetitive preparedness event as we go through these stages. And the only other thing I'd like to just piggyback, Ms. Claudia does such a wonderful job, but we also need to just be mindful that there are a lot of people that are still homebound. There are lots of individuals that are not getting out and they don't have that social environment. And we encourage that, and we really appreciate those individuals that are staying home, but it can definitely have a mental impact on individuals. So I encourage you this week, if you're someone at home and you have something to do, or even as busy people, take the time to send a note, a handwritten note, or pick up the phone and call someone that you know has been home trying to be diligent and following our safety precautions, and have a conversation with them or let them know that they're important. Or if you know of an individual that is quarantined, check on them through the week. I know that some members of my family had to do that, and various colleagues were able to check in with me, and it does make a difference. And so I encourage people to take the extra step and check on those individuals that may need that extra little boost during this time. And that's all I have. Any questions for me?
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Moore. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
Well, I just want to comment that people around here may not believe that earthquakes can be anything terribly serious since we very seldom have them, and when we do, they're pretty gentle. That is not necessarily the case at all. We are really kind of just about ready for a pretty big one, which
Now,
can mean
Commissioner Jones, you're not allowed to jinx us.
by saying just about ready, I mean sometime in the next few hundred years, like tomorrow. But
Absolutely.
we should keep in mind that it is something to worry about here, and we should be prepared for it.
Very much. And we are on that drift where it really, really could be a very catastrophic event for Indiana and Southern Indiana if in fact we do have a shift and would happen to have an earthquake. So it's not just one of those things that could possibly happen. If it does happen, more than likely from about that Morgan County line south all the way to Evansville will be highly affected. And the closer to Evansville area, the worse effect that it will take. And what's really scary to me about that is we won't be as affected as the southern part. So most of those resources that we would need are probably would potentially have to go to the most catastrophic dire event, which would be more than likely Southern Indiana of the predictions. But we will still be very, very cut off from the outside world with our bridges and our roads and various things. And so it's very important that you have self-preparedness, that your family has self-preparedness, and that as a county level, we are prepared to handle, because the chances of us having any outside resources beyond our county borders would be very slim. So we are mindful of that and making sure that we have all the necessary things in place that we can have at a county level so that if it does happen, we would and potentially be prepared, knowing we may not get additional resources for several days.
Great, thank you. Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, people forget that we're in what's called the New Madrid seismic zone, and that when there was a major earthquake in the early 1800s, there were dishes rattling and I think windows broken in Pennsylvania, if I remember right. So this could happen. Yeah, we hope it doesn't anytime soon, as Commissioner Jones said, but yeah, it's real.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. Excellent. Thank you for getting us all thinking about it, talking about it, and hopefully others are doing the same. And that's the whole point of preparedness. So thank you for presenting that information. We appreciate you. All right. And next we will go to a road and traffic report. Ms. Ridge.
Hi, good morning. Can you hear me?
Yep.
So that's hard to follow, Allison and Penny there. So I'm pretty boring with roads and bridges. We had 3 snow events in the past week. They are very costly to the county when you add up the overtime and materials, but I think the guys did a great job. They were out many hours, didn't hear a lot of complaints. It was one of those situations where you didn't know when to call them in, and you didn't know when it went from rain to ice to snow. We had every different condition that you could think of, but the guys did a great job out there. And so if you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Great. Thank you so much, Ms. Ridge. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I just want to thank the highway workers for getting out so quickly for the pre-treating they did. And then also the work they did to keep the roads clear, which I live a ways out in the county and we did not have any problems at all, and on a rather minor road. So I think they've been doing a great job.
Thank you. I think so too.
And they have not hit our mailbox one time.
Don't say that. We'll probably get snow this weekend. Your mailbox will be down.
Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, it is. It actually, I think you let the rest of us relax because the crews are so good about getting out. They really are.
Put in long hours, management included. Outside of myself, they handle it out there, and they do an awesome job with, again, this weekend was crazy weather. If you looked at one weather station, we were going to get nothing but rain. And that is quite the opposite of what we got. So I think they handled it in a great way as it proceeded through the storm. So
Yeah. And I was looking at the 10-day forecast yesterday because I was like, somebody said, oh, we're going to get a cold snap. And I was like, oh man, I thought we were already in one. But then I saw like little, like 1 to 3 inches, few days, 1 to 3 inches, few days, so there's more coming for those who love it.
And some people forget you get the 1 to 3 inches, and 1 inch snow can be just as bad as a 3-inch snow. So, and I think sometimes drivers forget that and think it's not that bad out. But so yeah, it's every situation is different. Sometimes you have to have the 40 trucks out, and sometimes it only takes 15 or 20 to get the major areas. So that's kind of what we deal with. The garage deals with on a daily basis and making those right calls. And so far, it seems to be working.
Yeah, well, they're doing a great job. So please pass along our thanks to them, Toby, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, so with that, we have Chris Myers, the Rural Transit.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for giving me a couple minutes. I wanted to just give you a rural transit update since we finished the 2020 period, as such as it was. And as you would expect, there was a very significant drop in ridership between 2019 and 2020. It totaled out at about 58% drop overall, which did rebound, thankfully, because we bottomed out in April, as you would expect, with an 88% drop in trips. But it started to increase in May and then continued that through October until we started to see a drop again in November and December. But things have kind of stabilized where they were. Just to give you a county breakout, we have a 4-county region, of course, that we provide, and Monroe County had the highest drop at 66%, Owen County at 59%, Lawrence at 53%, and Putnam at 38% over the course of the 2020 year. So we are prepared and hopeful moving forward. And I also wanted to just touch base about an email I sent to you all January 4th regarding Part 48 connector route. That one has just really taken quite a hit this last year and is just not worth the resources that we've been putting into it. So right now we are temporarily discontinuing that service effective Monday. We gave a month's notice to everyone. I've been really working with anyone who had relied on that to find alternate transportation, and also are providing door-to-door response for them. We really were only serving about 2 to 4 people in the end a day, and that was requiring 3 buses and 3 drivers kind of intermingled, which is a lot of cost. And we are instead putting those drivers on demand response and appointment, and going to meet that need in that way. And I just wanted to assure everybody that we are continuing with safety precautions. I was happy to see the feds come out with a mask requirement, though we had already been doing that. And we'll continue to do that. We are limiting the number of people on the buses for physical distancing. Unless they live in the same household, they cannot sit anywhere near another person. We have a plastic barrier around our drivers to separate them a little further between drivers and passengers. Masks are, of course, required for everyone. We spray disinfectant between passengers. And then at the end of the day, we have the electrostatic sprayers that really work well to guarantee that it gets everywhere where breath and droplets can fall. We do have drivers starting to get the vaccine because a few of them are over 70 and now over 65, but we also are a Medicaid provider for Southeast Transit, and we have been able to get a letter from them as kind of on the ground direct contact with people. So that's all I have for you today, and we're hoping to do this on a quarterly basis. So if you have topics that you would like, I'm also going to try and rope in a couple other staff members that are specific to transit and give you a brief update. And I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Ms. Myers. We appreciate the update. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that you're having to stop one of the routes, although it certainly sounds very understandable. But I'm pleased to hear that it is just temporary. That route probably will continue to become more important to people.
Right. I'm just going to keep my hands on it, and we're going to keep track of any kind of need as it changes from week to week and month to month.
Thank you.
Commissioner Githens.
Yeah, I'm glad you're able to replace the end of the temporary halt to this with door-to-door service. That's great.
Yeah, it sounds like everybody that needs to get served is getting served, and that's exactly what rural transit does such a great job at. So great. Well, we appreciate you being here today. We look forward to the next update when the weather's warmer, and if we have any topics or questions, we'll pass them along for the next update.
Thank you all. Thanks for your support.
Thank you. We appreciate you coming on. Okay, let's see if there are any other departments that have an update for us. I don't see any. And with that, we will move on to public comment. Public comment is reserved for items that are not on the agenda. If you do have a public comment to make now or on an agenda item later, just click on the raise hand button at the bottom of your screen, and you will have a total of 3 minutes to make your comment. If once you hit 2 minutes, 30 seconds, you will hear a tone. If that could be demonstrated for folks.
One moment, please.
Sure. Thank you, Ms. Dayton. Well, if we needed to, we could use just a timer alarm, which I'm happy to do. Get that going here. So that's what you'll hear at 2 minutes, 30 seconds. And that means you have 30 seconds left to finish your comment. Let's see if there's anyone here that wishes, there we go. There's the tone. That's the tone you'll hear when there's 30 seconds left. And let's see if there is anyone who wishes to offer a comment. Looks like Mr. Shelton.
Good morning, Commissioner. Jim Shelton with the Chamber. I just wanted to share my experience in receiving the vaccine last Friday. I agree totally with Ms. Caudle and Ms. Githen's characterization. The experience was very smooth, took a little less than a half hour, including a 15-minute monitoring time. And then I want to share with the public, my wife has mobility issues, and so she has her first shot tomorrow. So I was scouting the Medical Arts Building arrangement to think about getting her in tomorrow. And I know you guys have said the best place if you do have mobility issues is the convention center, but I want to assure the public the Medical Arts Building is very accessible. I talked to one of your volunteers in the, and there, by the way, there are a number of volunteers there outside in yellow safety vests that'll be giving you directions or can answer your questions. But the entrance to the building for the shot is not in the front or the back, but on the east end. And there is a drop-off pickup possibility there. So if somebody has issues, you can drive up. The gentleman said you can use your own wheelchair, or there are 2 wheelchairs that are inside the building that you're welcome to use. So you can get the person in the wheelchair, get them inside the building, come back out, get in your car. You'll have to, because the alleyway on the east end is one way out and Fairview on the west is one way in, you'll have to go out and go around the building and come back and then reverse that at the end. He also said you can park across the alley. There is a lot that was totally empty on Friday afternoon, and it's basically at the same level as the entrance. And then for anyone who saw the letter to the editor that said the alley was poorly paved, that is totally incorrect. It's open, it's very smooth. And I think anybody who knows those things will have no trouble getting in with a walker, a rollator, or even wheelchair. And I would agree the people there were very friendly, very helpful. And I just thank them and you guys for having such a smooth operation there. So I wanted to share that info. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate that. Let's see if there's anyone else that wishes to offer public comment for items not on our agenda. And it does not appear to be any. And so with that, we will move on to our next agenda items. We'll begin with item 5, please.
Move approval of the minutes for January 27th, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any comments, corrections, or edits?
Not from me.
Okay. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the approval of minutes, January 27, 2021? Mr. Cockrell is muted.
He just sent me a text and said he's having some issues with his laptop.
Okay. Can you go ahead and call the roll for us?
Yes. And this is on the approval of the minutes, correct?
Correct.
All right. On approval of the minutes, Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Approval passed 3-0.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
So, yeah, so Mr. Cockrell is unable to unmute. So I don't know if tech can help him since he can't ask us for help. Let's see, maybe through chat, maybe the two of you can connect, Ms. Dayton and Mr. Cockrell. With that, we'll move on. And Angie, thank you for filling in. And with that, we'll move on to the next item, please.
Approval of the claims docket, accounts payable, February 3rd, 2021.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Miller.
Good morning, Commissioners. The total for AP claims was $4,847,128.30. The majority of this amount was for distribution of funds to entities, starting with $3,778,001.65 for January lit distribution. Of that amount, $788,266.01 was for public safety lit. $264,518.53 was for December food and beverage tax distribution. $235,151.43 was for First Financial Bank for the parking garage 2021 principal and interest payment number 1. And finally, $105,526.79 was for January innkeeper's tax distribution.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Miller. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
No.
Commissioner Githens?
No, when I saw that huge amount, I actually emailed somebody, and so there's some right-of-way issues that got taken care of with this, so that was good.
Great. Excellent. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Just raise your hand from the bottom of the screen. And I don't see anyone. And so with that, it looks like Mr. Cockrell got back on and he's unmuted. Would you please call the roll on the approval of the claims docket accounts payable February 3rd, 2021?
Yes, Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. And with that, we'll move on to new business. Item A, please.
Move to approve a proposed engagement with Hartman and Williams regarding accounting services. Fund name, County General, Fund number 1000, in an amount not to exceed $10,000.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Ms. Gregory from the Auditor's Office. Good morning.
Good morning. This is just, I'm requesting approval of an engagement letter with Hartman and Williams. They are currently, we are contracting with them to assist with the more in-depth financial report in GAAP format, generally accepted accounting principles. It's just a much more extensive report, so we reached out to them and they are providing a service to help prepare this. Last year, 2019 was our first year for the 2019 information. It was the first year we completed this report, and 5 component units were identified while doing this. So just being a component unit means that our financials are so closely intertwined that we must provide their financial information as well in order to have, like, you know, a full picture of the county financials. So we originally had planned on assisting these component units financially for 1 year to help them get through and you know, provide this information. However, due to the circumstances of the past year, we are asking for your approval to assist in 1 more year with this service.
Great. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
No, it just sounds like a good idea.
Commissioner Githens?
Yeah, when I didn't quite understand again what all was going on, so I'd emailed and I found out that this is for the charges for 2020. It's not for rectifying things from 2021.
Sure.
And so that makes a lot more sense to me because of all the people having to work from home, and it's just much, much harder to collaborate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, very good. Thank you so much. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Click on the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. And I do not see any public comment on this item. So with that, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the proposed engagement letter with Hartman and Williams regarding accounting services?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great. Thank you so much. And with that, we will move on to the next item, please. Items B and C together, please.
Move to approve Monroe County Entity Reimbursement Grant for COVID-19 expenses. Fund name, County General, Fund number 1000, in the amount of $48,698.45.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Gregory.
Yes, this is just my weekly request for approval of expense reimbursement for local businesses and nonprofits. This week, we have a total of $48,698.45 requested. You received the list of businesses included in that request. And just as a reminder, this is the CARES, part of the CARES money that was allocated to Monroe County that the Monroe County leaders have decided to share with local businesses and nonprofits experiencing some extra expenses related to COVID-19. This program was recently extended through April 30th, and all information can be found on the Monroe County website should businesses wish to apply.
Great, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
This time.
Commissioner Githens?
I'm just so pleased that we're able to keep businesses going, and also that some of the things that we're helping to provide keep the employees safe while they're there at those operations. So this feels like the right thing to be doing for our community.
Yeah.
So thanks for being
absolutely.
part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for that. Yep. And so, as Ms. Gregory noted, we did extend the deadline for submitting receipts for reimbursement to April 30th, but we're still keeping the cap at $30,000 per business entity or social service organization. And that is since the inception of the program, so it's not each time, it is the total. And this is for non-personnel costs related to, it's a COVID-related expense. But we do want to emerge with a strong, robust economy when all of this is over, and really grateful that we could partner with the county council and the auditor's office to help make this happen. So very good work. Let's go ahead and see if there's anyone who has any public comment to make on this item. Again, just click on the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. And I do not see anyone. So with that, Mr. Cockle, will you please call the roll on items B and C, Monroe County Entity Reimbursement Grant for COVID-19 expenses?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great. Thank you so much. We appreciate you, Ms. Gregory.
Thank you.
Next item, please.
Move to approve Schneider Geospatial Agreement regarding GIS services. Fund name, reassessment, fund number 1224-34350-000-0000 in an amount of $37,896.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Baker from Legal Department.
Good morning. Let's see, we have, it's time to renew a contract that we've had in place for some time for GIS services. The contract that we have in front of you has been prepared for a company that will provide these services that have previously been provided by Geoconvergence LLC, DBA 39 Degrees North. The company that will now be providing these services is Schneider Geospatial. I participated in one meeting with Judy and representatives of Schneider to work through the provisions of the agreement to ensure that the provision of services is uninterrupted. It's a seamless transition, and to also ensure that the provisions of the new service agreement with Schneider aren't materially different from the provisions of the contract we've been operating under for some time. I think I can speak for Judy. I don't know if she's on, but I think that she's happy with the agreement as written. I am too. Schneider was very, I would say, collaborative and agreeable to fixing the provisions that we had some concerns, though not particularly serious concerns. But in any event, they were willing to work with us to fix those problems, and we're happy with this agreement. We hope that you'll see it as we do and approve this agreement.
Great. Thank you so much, Mr. Baker. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
No, I don't.
Commissioner Githens?
I just wanted to point out that when Mr. Baker was referring to Judy, he's referring to Assessor Judy Sharp.
Yes, thank you. I'm sorry.
Well, no, not everybody knows her as well as we do, so that's fine.
Looking to see if there's, yeah, she's not on the call. Okay. Yeah, we appreciate the hard work on this, and let's see if there's any public comment on this. Again, for those viewing the meeting, click on the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. And it looks like we have our surveyor, Mr. Enright Randolph. Good morning.
Yes, and so I just want to state that this is kind of a seamless transition, which was already stated. So everyone that goes on Elevate, they'll be receiving the same service. They just kind of 39 Degrees North sold their platform Elevate to Schneider Geospatial, so they're taking over the management. I also wanted to state that the cost you see is actually split between the assessor and the QMCAP, so it services a lot of other departments in Monroe County, and I just wanted to clarify that. And everyone is totally happy with the agreement, and definitely this is something that is very critical to the community and the county as far as accessing their platform and keeping that continuity.
Great, thank you so much. Ms. Purdy, I'm going to call on you. Is this the correct funding? Do you know?
Let me go back and see. I didn't do the paperwork, so let me check. I was on a different page.
Or Mr. Baker, do you know? Because we should adjust our motion if it's multiple funds. I didn't.
Oh, I don't anticipate this is going to be from multiple funds.
Okay.
In the past, it has always come out of the cumulative capital. Is that what's listed?
No, reassessment.
Okay, so it depends. Is this, does this pay for the entire project? Do you guys know? Does this pay for all of it?
The amount shown on the agenda request is for the year. You'll note, I don't know if this is helpful, but on page 2 of the contract, it breaks down the per annum cost, the cost for each year for the term of the contract, the duration of it. I don't know if that's helpful at all. It looks like it's the same figure throughout. Year one looks a little different.
I mean, it sounds to me like this is in fact an agreement that the assessor has with the provider. And Tron can maybe explain, if he's still on, if this is taking place of or is.
Yes, let me jump in here.
Thanks, Tron.
We have 2 invoices. I actually just was talking to Schneider Geospatial. I could give you the one I have here, but the assessor pays around $11,000 and we pay the other amount. Let me just bring up the quick invoice. And this is probably really important since we are identifying the fund there. Let me just write.
Yeah.
And so it is separated. And I closed out on the invoice.
But
I will bring that up right now.
Yeah, it's not separated on the contract, and it's not separated, and it's also an annual, and that's not part of our motion either. I'm wondering if we should wait a week and get this spirited out rather than doing it. Is everyone okay with that? All right, I'm going to go ahead and make a motion that we continue this item, item D, to the February 10th meeting of the Board of Commissioners.
I'll reach out to the
That's all right.
assessors and send you more exactly the breakdown and
We
just
we just have to make sure that our motion's correct and that we have the contract. The contract is clear, and but we have to make sure that we have a clear understanding about the different funds, and to make sure that we have the amount right per year and how many years and all of that. So all of that needs to be done too. So we'll get on that. Could I get a second on?
Second.
My motion? Okay, so we have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on continuing item D until next week?
Yes. Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Item is continued. Passed
Great.
3-0.
Great, thank you so much. And now we will move on to item E, please.
To approve ordinance 2021-02, amending stormwater system fee establishment procedures.
Second.
We have a motion and we have a second, and we have Mr. Schilling on the call. Tell us about it, Mr. Schilling.
Well, thank you very much. Dave Schilling from the legal department. This ordinance will amend section 4 of chapter 766 of the Monroe County Code. And that section is entitled Fee Structure or ERU Rate Amendment. And the purpose of this amendment is to bring the language of that section into accord with the statutory language relating to stormwater fee amendment. Previously, when the county first established its stormwater fee in 2010, I believe, or 11, the county imposed limitations on itself relating to the imposition of the fee. For example, the fee had to be established at least 6 months before it was collected, and that the fee could not increase by more than 3% per year. And so those provisions, which are not required by statute, would be removed by this amendment. Fees generally, of course, have to be related to the cost of the service provided by the fee. And so this just gives the county the flexibility to increase the fee to match the work program that it adopts with respect to stormwater.
Great, thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
I just want to emphasize that this change is just creating the situation so we are in accord with the state's statute. And I'd also like to point out that since the fee was originated in 2010, a whole lot more of impervious surfaces have been created in our county. And this is a lot of what's causing drainage problems. So the more impervious surfaces, the worse the flooding, and the more money we need to spend on it.
Thank you. Commissioner, thank you. Commissioner Githens?
Yes, we've also seen deterioration because things have not been properly maintained. So we're trying to play catch up.
Yeah, for sure we are. And, you know, and in the last 10 years, the impacts of climate change have mounted in the county as well. And so as we have more built surfaces, as we're still trying to go back and fix what's already been done under the new circumstances, it is a game of catch up, and it's never one where you're done. But we recognize that the costs are sometimes increasing at a rate that's greater than 3%. And I think it's better to address the needs as they come along rather than to just automatically raise it 3% every year. just to follow this guideline. So I think it makes sense on a number of levels. And in that way, you're not getting increased just because we should have one, because it's been 10 years, we need to do this increase. It's better to see what's needed and then to vet that need. And in this case, it's multiple, and it's getting projects done. And these projects have been sort of languishing. We've gone through the process of getting priorities, getting a number of projects mapped out, and they will benefit all county residents in one way or another. So let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Please raise your hand at the bottom of the screen. All right, seeing none, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on ordinance 2021-02?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, next item, please.
To approve amending the contract with D. Owens for COVID reimbursement grant administration. Fund name, County General, Fund number 1000 in the amount of $18,750.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and we have a second. Mr. Cockrell.
Yes, and I apologize for not being on camera as part of my fixing of my mic required me to use my desktop computer. This is an extension of this is actually a new contract, but conceptually it's an extension of the process we've had in place for the reimbursement grants, like what you guys approved previously. This will extend it from February 10th to May 9th. And the cost of the same is the same per month as was previous.
Great. Thank you so much. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
I just want to thank Ms. Owens for taking this on, and she's really doing the county a great service.
Yeah. Commissioner Githens?
Yes, I'm really pleased that we've got somebody that's qualified and dedicated. Ms. Owens made a difference.
Absolutely. It's great to have that kind of attention to detail as we need. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. And just to clarify for folks, this kind of extends the contract for the administration beyond our April 30th current deadline, just in order to get paperwork wrapped up in case that program doesn't continue beyond April 30th. So it just kind of gives that little buffer in there. And I don't see any hands raised. With that, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on amending the contract with Ms. Owens for COVID reimbursement grant administration?
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you. And next item, please.
Move to approve SUDAX. I'm afraid I don't remember the exact. I'm sure Mr. Githens can tell us that. SUDAX request for appropriation in 4112 donations special program. Fund name, donations special programs. Fund number 4112 in the amount of $2,000.
It's the Substance Use Disorder Community Awareness Commission. Second.
I think the amount needs to be amended.
Yeah.
To 2,500.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that it had been amended to 2,000.
I think the plan is to keep it at the original 2,500. Yeah.
I'd like to amend my motion to an amount of 2,500.
And I'll second that.
Great. Excellent. We have a motion and a second. Ms. Purdy.
Yes, good morning. This is the Monroe County Substance Use Disorder Community Awareness Commission is requesting approval for funding of their public support campaign. They requested $2,500, but they submitted a proposed budget of $2,000, which I believe caused some confusion within our ranks, if you will. And so I am going to, as you've already done, I'm just going to state that I appreciate that you are approving the $2,500 because I think that they were extremely frugal in their request, and they were trying to be as tight as they possibly could, and being able to be responsive and actually be prepared for potentially different costs in printing and graphics. I think it's prudent to have a little extra money in that particular line to help them, so we don't all have to come back and repeat this process. I do want to say that the information that was provided to me from the SUDCAC is, I wanted to share this information because I think it's important and part of their purpose and the information they want to get out. They've noted that as a result of COVID-19, it is known people with substance use disorders are experiencing increased stressors and barriers to treatment. They have increased anxiety and depression regarding the pandemic, and there's a greater levels of social isolation. We are all experiencing that, but if someone is experiencing a substance use disorder or a mental health disorder, this time is extremely difficult for them. And then add into that any kind of increased strain if their jobs have been affected. So, excuse me, additionally, SUDCAC reported that there was a marked increase in overdose deaths in 2020. And in response to that, that's why they would like to launch this public support campaign. And the primary goal is to prevent overdose, help people feel supported, reduce the stigma around substance use with public education. So it is with this that I request that you approve the Substance Use Disorder Community Awareness Commission's request for this proposed project. The council has actually already approved the appropriation of funds.
Okay, thank you. Comments, questions, Commissioner Jones?
I want to thank the people on this commission for the work they're doing. Especially right now, it's so very important. And anything we can do to help the public is worth it.
Commissioner Gissens?
Yes, I attend these meetings, and this is a very dedicated group of people who are on this commission, and I applaud their efforts. It's very difficult to do outreach during this time, and so they're seeking additional ways to do this.
Yeah, absolutely. Good work by this commission and good use of the dollars. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. Please raise your hand at the bottom. Click on the raise hand feature on the bottom of the screen. And I don't see any hands raised. Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the request for appropriation in 4112 donations?
Commissioner Thomas.
Yes.
Commissioner Jones.
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great, thank you so much. Moving on to item H, please.
Move to approve BTEC LLC agreement regarding a new air compressor. Fund name, general, fund number 1,000 in the amount of $2,700.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and a second. Ms. Purdy.
Yes, this agreement provides for the replacement of the fire protection air compressor in the courthouse with a new fire listed tank mounted air compressor. The costs involved include the installation of this new device and the costs associated with the disconnection and disposal of the non-functioning compressor.
comments, questions? Commissioner Jones?
Glad it's being taken care of.
All right, especially hopefully before next week. Commissioner Gibbons?
Yeah, I was just going to say, how soon are they getting this done?
Yeah, they will be here promptly, actually, because I think we're kind of got something temporary in place. And of course, when it went out was over a weekend that required staff to come in and resolve a problem. So yes, everybody wants this corrected as soon as possible.
Right, thank you so much. Let's see if there's any comments or questions on this item. Again, click on the raise hand feature at the bottom of the screen. And I do not see any. So with that, we'll come back for a vote. Mr. Cockrell, if you would please, on the BTEC agreement regarding a new air compressor.
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Great, thank you so much. And we'll move on to item I, please.
Move to approve Otis Elevator regarding an air purification system. Unnamed cumulative capital, fund number 1138, in the amount of $21,000.
Second.
Great, we have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Purdy.
Yes, the amount of $21,000 is actually $3,500 per elevator. We have 6 elevators that we're responsible for. There are 2 in the Justice Building, 1 in Showers, 1 in our courthouse, 1 at Curry, and then obviously 1 in the parking garage. This proposal will provide the installation of an air purifier to the existing elevator fans. The proposed purifier uses, please don't ask me to explain it, ion technology to minimize airborne viruses, bacteria, mold, fungus, and it also neutralizes odors. This particular air purifier has been shown to be 97% effective in the killing of a virus similar to COVID-19. Although its efficacy against COVID-19 has not been confirmed, the fact that it's effective against these other, and they're actually listed on the document within the packet, the fact that it's effective against other viruses and molds and bacteria, I think it's a benefit that we can provide to our public that are using our elevators and also to our inmates and staff that are using the elevators.
Great, thank you so much. See if there's any comments or questions, Commissioner Jones.
Another action being taken to protect the public and our staff from a number of different things, hopefully COVID. So thank you very much for arranging it.
Commissioner Githens?
Okay, so I'm the nerd, and I found it fascinating to read through all the details of this. But yeah, I agree. When we passed the or approved the amount that we're giving out through the CARES amount, we talked about keeping the public safe, and I think that this just is another step in that.
Yeah, and it's nice because it's a system we'll have beyond COVID, so future flu seasons, etc. Yeah, it's really interesting how the ionization works. And initially when I read through this first, I was very skeptical because I'm like, well, if you don't know if it works on COVID, why are we spending the money? But the way ionization works likely will help protect folks from COVID, but we know it'll protect them from other things. So that's a good thing. And so that works well. Thank you for looking into this. I assume that we're going to prioritize the Justice Building first.
Yes.
Yeah, excellent. How long will it take to get this rolling?
I don't know the answer to that question. I know that Jerry will be contacting them as soon as this is approved by you guys and get it set up at that point in time.
Yeah, I'd like to kind of, if we can, get things moving quicker on Justice Building.
Definitely.
That would be great. Excellent. Well, thanks for pursuing this. All right, so let's see if there's any public comment on this item. And if you have a comment, click on the raise hand button at the bottom of the screen. And I do not see any hands. And so with that, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on the contract with Otis Elevator regarding air purification system?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Next item, please. Item J.
Move to approve an awarding E&B Paving Inc. the Community Crossing Matching Grant Program paving projects. Fund name, Motor Vehicle Highway, Fund number 1176, in an amount of $1,231,530. And there's a local match in the amount of $615,765.
Second.
Great. We have a motion and we have a second. Ms. Ridge.
Morning again. So sealed bids were opened on a public Zoom meeting on January 27th at 9 a.m. We received 2 bids for these projects, one from E&B Paving and the other one from Milestone Contractors. The lowest, most responsible bidder was E&B Paving. So it's our recommendation for the awarding of these paving projects to E&B Paving. It's approximately 8.75 miles paving segments. The roads that are in this program is Quarry Lane, Old State Road 37 North from Anderson Road to Chambers Pike, Ratliff Road from Hart Strait Road to Thomas Road, and Anderson Road from Low Gap to Shiloh Road.
Great. Thank you so much. Great work. And Commissioner Jones, comments, questions?
Got it this time.
Commissioner Githens?
No, it just always astounds me how expensive road work is.
It really is.
Yeah. Not even 9 miles of road and 1.2 million. It's a lot. But it's exciting to see where the focus is and proceeding in this way. It makes a lot of sense. Let's see if there's any public comment on this item. See if anyone wants to click on the raise hand button to make a comment. I don't see anyone. So with that, Mr. Cockrell, will you please call the roll on awarding E&B Paving Community Crossing Matching Grant Program paving projects?
Commissioner Thomas,
Yes.
Commissioner Jones,
Yes.
Commissioner Githens.
Yes.
Motion is approved, 3-0.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much. All right. It's going to be exciting to get those projects going. We don't have any appointments today. Just want to remind folks that we have worked with council to provide Township Assistance Fund, and that funding is available directly from your Township Trustee's office. So if you're having difficulty paying for shelter or food or utilities, please contact your Township trustee as soon as possible. The Emergency Management Department on our website has provided a full directory of how to contact your trustee. If you live in the county, you live in a township, and those are the folks who are assisting with funding directly to our county residents. And as we've talked about a number of times in this meeting, our CARES COVID reimbursement grant for businesses, social service organizations, and taxing units continues through at least April 30th. So that is the new deadline. As of now, we are at a total of $541,745.95 in total funding into the community. So please go to co.monroe.im.us and click on the and look at the center of the screen to click on information regarding the application process. There's a form and there's a list of required paperwork. It's not too extensive. And the good news is it's a grant and not a loan. So we're very happy to work with the council to provide this for our area businesses and social service organizations. I will also note that we have some board and commission appointments that are we still have some vacancies. So if you are interested in serving on a board or commission, we ask that you please complete the form and the paperwork to do so. I'll also note for folks that it's a good time to sign up for the resident alert system, which is available through text, phone, and/or email. And that's how folks got information about the change in the vaccine eligibility. So it's also a great way to keep track, especially in the next week or so, of road closures or travel advisories, more likely, with the snow and the cold. Once spring gets here, which cannot come soon enough for us, you will get your alerts on severe weather as well. So it's a great thing to sign up for, and you can choose the venue on which you will receive information. So with that, anything else from my colleagues? Looks like we lost Commissioner Jones. Do you have anything else, Commissioner Gibbons?
No, I just want to acknowledge that this is Black History Month, and that we all went through some training last weekend by Black Lives Matter. It's quite intensive. I'm still kind of reeling from all of it, but yeah, it's good.
Yeah, it was a lot to process, but it was really good because it was directed, Black Lives Matter did a great job, and it was directed toward making policy and thinking about how policy is made and making sure it's done in an equitable manner. So yeah, it was a great training, and I appreciate all of the elected officials who joined us and the folks who put the presentations together. It was really a good training. And I know our training with the Garden Group continues for county employees, so that's rolling through various departments, and that's a great thing. I've heard good things about that. And we'll continue to explore what's next, right? Because we're not just going to stop there, but it is Black History Month. So glad you said that. And it's important to honor the legacy of all of the people who have made a difference, who have improved our lives, who have fought so hard for civil rights. And then I was watching I think it was last night's show, one of the news shows, and they were talking about the things that you take for granted, great and small, that have been produced in the Black community. And we could think about, the ice cream scoop and the traffic signal, and there's so many very cool stories out there. So it's a great time to explore that part of our history, and it's a good month to do that. So excellent. Thank you so much. And anything else? I don't think Lee's coming back because of
she said she lost her connection.
Yeah,
She
so we're gonna be
texted.
okay.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thanks everyone. Be well. And our next meeting is the 10th of February, 2021, right here on the same Zoom channel. Thanks everyone. you.